Welcome to Talk Birdie-tome. This is Australia's most popular golf podcast, with former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn, the only player to beat Tiger Woods twice in match play, and tour pro Mark Allen, who played professional golf around the world for 15 years, including a British Open. We're coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. Titleist is the #1 ball in golf, and FootJoy is the #1 shoe and glove in golf. And thanks to our great partners, Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world. Download from the App Store or Google Play. Ping, as with Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. See your local golf shop or professional for a Ping Club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. And Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Now that's better. Now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, it's time for Talk Birdie-tome. Here's Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
Don't need to make it. 2 putts.
Well, it was a fairy tale final round, but my God, Nick, that was a Hollywood finish.
That was incredible. That was incredible. There's nothing like live sport when you don't know what's going to happen, right? That back nine, it was unbelievable. The twists, the turns. For a moment there, I thought, Tyrrell Hatton's going to win. Hang on. No, Carlos Ortiz. Hang on.
Yep.
No, here comes another guy.
Yeah.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
I didn't know what was going to. No, I don't think anyone. I thought, what's the Scottish kid, the left-hander?
Bobby McIntyre.
I thought he was home.
Yeah.
I thought he was home.
I thought worst case playoff for him.
Do you believe in golfing gods, Nick?
I do, actually.
I do too.
I do
too. That's why I rake the bunkers extra careful, because I think, I even rake other people's mess because I think it'll come back in spades. I'm a really big believer. What do you reckon about JJ Spaun when his second shot at the second hit the flagstick middle stump and spun off the green 70 feet? I heard him afterwards actually say that he believes he's an unlucky player, but we all do. You probably thought you're an unlucky player. I was definitely an unlucky player.
I know a few pros who would say, well, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all.
That's right.
So.
Well, JJ Spaun's one of those. He truly believes he's a bad luck man.
Well, it was actually, I think, at least a 2-shot swing. It could have been a 3 because it might have gone in. Well, if it misses a flag, it's just going to spin back a little. It's right there. It's within a foot. So it's at least a 2-shot swing.
Well, if it missed on the right side, maybe it misses. If it missed on the left side, maybe it goes in. I mean, you just don't know those things, but the ball was hit and struck with plenty of spin. Yeah. And with that, it was only a 95-yarder. So it was going to come back. We'd seen the balls come back all week.
Yeah. Fantastic hole. Only 350 yards or so. You can take iron, you can take driver. That's why short par fours are the best thing. They really are. And with a green that severe, that's what makes it what it's all about.
Well, I was up early because I love Adam Scott. I love him. And I know there's a lot of people, it's funny, there's a lot of people who watch sport, maybe don't understand golf as well, but a lot of people who watch sport who have seen Adam Scott interviewed before, and I've seen it because I've interviewed him a few times in my world. To where I'll put a microphone in front of Adam and his neck goes back and he stiffens up a little bit, and people think he's a bit of a stiff. But you know him as well, much better than I know him. He's anything but a stiff.
Absolutely,
he's one of the greatest blokes you would ever meet in sport.
Yeah, he's got an unbelievable golf swing. He's pretty good looking. He's got a lot of money.
He's good looking.
I absolutely hate the guy.
Got some good guns. Have you seen him with his shirt off? God, he's like a boxer just about. He's unbelievable. Anyway, all that aside, I was excited. So I got up really early. I woke up at 2, I woke up at 3. And when I woke up at 4, I knew he was hitting off in 15 minutes. So we get up, make a coffee, put the TV on, it came on just at the right time. And I saw him pipe it. Absolutely pipe it on the first. It was into the wind as well.
Okay. I missed the first few holes. I was still asleep.
I understand that, Nick. It's okay. So I saw that shot and I thought, here we go.
How did he make bogey from there then?
Just pulled it in the left.
Okay.
And he made a 6-footer for bogey.
Yeah, I know. I saw the highlight of that. So,
he made a 6-footer for bogey. But I also got to see JJ Spaun start. And I'd heard Paul McGinley the day before talk about how he rates his swing, and they showed in the third round, I think he hit more shots, Johnny Miller style, right down the flag stick than any other player playing.
Yeah, he was piping it.
And then he got Chambly involved. So Chambly's going, yeah, you're right, mate. This guy can swing the club. So he doesn't have the club head speed of the big boys, but
he's still up there though. He's still 175, 177 ball speed.
That's
incredible.
Enormous. Anyway, but he was piping it. So I'm interested to see how he'd go. And one thing after another happened. You know, when it ricocheted 60 yards back, I thought it was going to roll into a divot as well. I thought it was going to be
that would have been the ultimate.
And then
it's not your day. I think afterwards he said, "Well, at least it didn't roll into a divot."
So if you don't know, he bogeyed 5 of his first 6, and then he played,
and then the rain delay came.
Yep, perfect. Well, let's set that up as well. So he walks in, and there is audio. I'm not sure whether we've got it or not, but I've heard it. Of his coach saying, "You're trying too hard. Settle down. You're trying too hard."
During the delay, as you were walking back out, I heard your coach say something like trying too hard. What was that kind of mindset that you went back out to play with?
Trying too hard. Okay, fucking go.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of the theme for how the day was going. Was they're just like, dude, just chill. Like, oh, they just said, just let it come to you. Be calm. Just stop trying so hard. And that's what I was doing. Like I felt like I had a really good chance to win the U.S. Open, at the start of the day, and it just unraveled very fast. But that break was actually the key for me to winning this tournament.
You know what else he did in the rain delay?
He changed his clothes.
Now, there'll be plenty of people out there who have watched the movie The Hustler. All right, so it's a beautiful old movie.
It, actually.
Paul Newman's in it. Paul Newman's fast, Eddie Felson.
Yep.
And you've also got Minnesota Fats.
Love it.
He's the big star. Anyway, they'd been playing pool for like 24 hours and they had a break. And Minnesota Fats went in, had a shower, came back out, tie done, shirt pressed, dew socks, the whole lot.
Love it.
Fast Eddie's just sitting there drinking bourbon. And there was kind of a Minnesota Fats moment where he freshened up, came back out with a new mindset.
The new gear.
And had 4 birdies and 1 bogey and played the last 12 holes, 3 under par in Nick, the worst of the weather.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was a brutal day.
Yeah. 1 under winning score, Oakmont.
Yep. With soft greens.
As easy as Oakmont can play. Okay, apart from the last 11. Well, the rough is always like that at the US Open. Imagine what the scores would have been if the course was firm. So, again, I mentioned on last week's pod, I played it in 2007 when the greens were firm. The rough was like this. +5 was the winning score. They'd lengthened it since then. I think 8 over could have been the winning score if the greens were firm. I think it's going back there in 2033. Hopefully they don't get 12 inches of rain in the lead up to the tournament and they get firm greens there next time because it's going to be absolute carnage and I love it. It's great.
Well, what about his drive on 17? So there were so many players trying to birdie that 17th hole. I mean, I'm not sure whether you saw Victor's chip. I mean, his drive got on the downslope.
Unbelievable chip.
How he got that up and made it spin, I'll never know, but that was brilliant. But people like Tyrrell Hatton who, got up and down for a 5, made a mess of it.
Yeah.
The only way you could really guarantee the birdie was to stiff it if you laid up with a wedge or if you found the front gate. And his drive found the front gate when he needed it the most.
Well, he was tied for the lead at that stage with Bobby McIntyre, who was in the clubhouse at 1 over. He's 1 over playing 17. It's a birdie hole, obviously, but you still got to step up and hit the shot. And I think this is the one he'll remember. I think this is the greatest tee shot I think he's ever hit in his career. And the scary thing was he backed it up on 18 as well. But I think, Dan, we got footage here of that 17th tee shot. We need to watch just how pure a golf swing this was.
Yeah. I love the way they described the hole too. It was like, what do you call those pools where you can't see, an infinity pool? They called it an infinity green to where you could just see the flagstick.
Oh, almost. Imagine if that had hit the flag. That would have been incredible. The one thing you should notice where he teed it up, though, on the right-hand side, because he's trying to hit a little cut.
Yeah.
So for people at home, if you want to hit a fade, tee it up on the right-hand side of the tee box. The hole goes a little left to right once it gets above that fairway bunker in the middle there. So it was a perfect shot.
Do you know there was only 5 closer drives on that hole for the entire week?
Crazy.
Only 5, so it was 6.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like you say, he hit the set up after hitting that shot.
Now he's got the lead.
Now he's got to hit a fairway and a green.
Most important tee shot of his life coming up on 18, and he absolutely pipes it again. Same swing, same tee shot. Brilliant.
And I can tell you, while we're sitting in the house of Titleist, that it was a GT3
Oh, okay.
that he was hitting. And also, Bobby McIntyre had the GT3 as well. So the blokes who came first and second, thanks to Titleist Europe actually for putting that out there, that they both used the GT3 to perform the way they did. We've got to talk about everybody else at some stage.
Yeah, but first I want to just say about the putt on 18. We know the bomb. Was, you know how long it was?
It was 70 feet.
64 and a half
feet.
64 feet, 5 inches.
Yeah.
It is the longest putt he's held on tour all year. And it actually, as it turns out, the 2 longest putts he's held on tour all year, the entire year, were on 12, a 40-footer, and on 18, a 64-footer.
Did you see the one on 12?
How scary is that?
Yeah. Did you see the one on 12?
He hit it like a 3-foot
He hit it like a 3-foot putt. He hit it like a 3-foot putt that went down the hill and went in. So that was incredible.
It's hard to explain to people how quick those greens are, and they weren't as quick as they can get them because they weren't firm.
Yeah.
But that putt kind of explained it, how severe the slopes are, because that could have gone off the green if he'd hit that putt a little bit harder.
So let's talk about our boy. It's hard, Adam Scott.
Yeah.
It's brutal to watch it.
He was in it too. Even with the rain delay, he was still, I think he was 3 over through his first 7. He still only won back. He was 1 under for the tournament, or square for the tournament.
Yeah.
Maybe he was 2 over through 7. He was 1 behind Burns. And then unfortunately, it kind of, that second shot into 11, where there was water on the fairways. I think we were chatting at the time through our text, and you said, was that a water flyer? Now, I've never seen a water flyer before, but it could have been, because he misjudged that by 10 to 15 yards, which is so rare for him with a wedge in his hand. Yeah. And it was the one place he can't go there is long.
So the rules have changed since you and I played. And I want to talk about the Sam Burns drop here in a second as well. But the rules have changed. Once upon a time, if to get relief from casual water, you could push down with your feet. And if water
temporary water. It's not called casual water.
Okay,
anymore.
Temporary water. In the old days when it was called casual water, you could push down your foot, and if that drew water,
well, that's when you take your stance.
That's
Correct.
right.
Yes.
So once upon a time, that could happen. Now you're not allowed to push down. If you just stand there and water comes up, then you can get a drop.
Well, you fairly take your stance.
That didn't happen to Sam Burns, but the one that nobody could believe, and I think we've got a bit of audio, the footage of this too, Dan, if you could put it up. You could see, somebody reporting on it. Who was it? Who did it come from?
Was it Kyle Porter maybe?
Yeah, it might have been Kyle Porter.
He went to the spot just moments after.
That's it, moments after. Yeah, switch that one across, Dan. Watch this. So for those of you listening in the car, he's pushing his foot down, and there's a hell of a lot of water.
There is.
It's right where the divot was.
So what did we do? We got Stuart McPhee.
Yeah.
The David Duval of rules officials.
Well, the only 100%.
The only 100%
that we know
of.
Now,
what was his comments on the temporary water rule?
Right. So he's busy today while we're recording, but he did send this through. You can get relief from temporary water for 3 things if you have interference to the lie of the ball.
Right.
All right. Area of intended swing. So if there's a little bit of water, you might be dry where you're standing and where the ball is, but if you take the club back low, if there's water there, you can get it.
Yep.
Or area of intended stance.
Yep.
So that's just where your feet are. So if the ball is sitting in water, which can be seen on top of the ground, then yes, free relief straight away. There was obviously no water around his ball on the surface. Otherwise, he would have been given relief straight away. Had he stepped next to his ball, I'm sure water would have come up.
Which
and stayed up.
Which it was.
Which we've seen later with that footage we've seen. But that isn't his stance for his next stroke. His stance is the position of his feet and body in preparing to make the stroke. That stance is clearly unreasonable and is grounds for denying relief. So that means if he stood next to the ball and water came up, then they don't look at that anymore. Well, once upon a time they did. The key is the water must be visible and must remain visible.
Okay. Well, I've played in many tournaments in my life, and I have seen relief given for much less, put it that way. Where his ball was and when you saw it land, I think the resulting shot, I think he had a bit of mud on the ball, which is why it went left. I think the water got involved. That was a factor. But when he was taking practice swings next to the ball, you could see water spraying everywhere. Now, obviously, what is visible, right? I mean, it would have been you would have been able to see it glistening. So is that visible, or does it need to be puddling next to his ball?
Puddling.
If I was a rules official myself,
Yeah.
I probably would have given him relief because
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, that's almost impossible.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's part of the game, etc.
Well,
So
see, I think it's a bad ruling. I
maybe
think
it's the way the rule's written.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I say bad ruling, I think it's a bad rule is what I should say. I reckon the USGA and the R&A have got to look at this and go, well, we can't have this happen again because that was unfair. His feet were above where the ball sat. His ball sat right where water would well up against the collar of the rough. I mean, if there is a rule that says if you stand and water comes up, then surely you should be able to stand somewhere near the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And if water comes up, you should get relief. That is my view. And you could see what it did to the shot.
No, I completely agree with you. But have you seen the movie The Greatest Game Ever Played?
Yes.
Francis Ouimet.
Yes,
right? One
great
back
show.
in 1913.
One of the best shows.
I think on the Saturday or the Sunday of that US Open, do you remember the downpour they had and what they were playing out of?
Yeah.
Puddles?
Yeah.
How much the rules have changed since then, because those guys would have looked at this and said, well, but just hit it, you know.
Yeah, that's
Whereas
right.
now we're complaining about these little bits and pieces that happen on the golf course. It's quite funny.
Well, I think it's right. I think it's right, though.
No, I think so
It's
too.
got to be fair. It's got to be fair for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
Nick, can I just jump in here?
Yeah, yeah.
Mate, what the rule
Sorry.
of the pod is we turn our phones off. Your phone's beeping away there. So could you-
Yeah, I know.
Who is
So,
it?
hey, hang on. Actually, you know what? This is Austin Truslow. He said he'd give me a call at some stage. He played in the US Open, the Oakmont. He did miss the cut, unfortunately, but
he played last year as well.
why don't we get him on? We'll
Does he
have
still
a quick chat.
This is the guy who chips
He
one-handed.
chips one-handed, yeah.
Chips one-handed
Yeah.
and
Ripping
qualified
guy.
for 2 US Opens in a row.
All right,
All right,
let's give him a call.
Let's endeavour to get him on.
Okay.
Hey boys, how are you?
Hey, is that you, Austin? Gee, that was quick.
Austin,
How's it
good,
going?
good to see you, mate. It's been a while, obviously. Now, for Mark and Dan, Austin is a good mate of mine who obviously is an American, lives in the US, and was playing at Oakmont in the US Open. But I used to help him out with his game a little bit when I lived at Isleworth. The last couple of years I was there.
The one-handed chipping part of his game.
No. We talked about the one-handed chipping because he is famous for that. And we thought one-handed is better than two for Austin, and he chips beautifully one-handed, by the way.
All right, so Austin, you qualified this year. I reckon you qualified a couple of years ago as well at Pinehurst. When you first got to see the course, what was going through your head? Because it looked an awful tough one to us.
Well, yeah, the course was every bit of what I heard it was before I arrived. But they've had a lot of rain this spring, and it rained heavily on Sunday, and I got on the course Monday. And the fairways were very soft, the greens were receptive, and the greens were rolling about a 12.5. So the course wasn't playing the way they were anticipating it to play when I got there Monday. That being said, there was a huge adjustment to be made for me around the greens out of the rough. I could not chip with one hand around those greens.
Oh, yeah. Right.
It could not. The rough was far too thick. You needed a lot more speed. You needed to kind of use your body and pivot a little bit better, which I worked on with Nick quite a bit when we'd practice together. And that was the biggest adjustment I had to make. Funny enough, I actually played Monday with JJ Spaun.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
How was he hitting
No,
it?
I walked. He was hitting it solidly. I mean, he's got a nice little 2 to 6 yard fade off the tee with driver, and his irons were pretty tight. But he and I both hit probably around 30 shots around the greens out of the rough on every hole, and it definitely paid off for him.
Yeah, it's almost a bit of a guessing game in the rough around there, isn't it? And you're pretty much taking three-quarter swings with a lob wedge, playing it more like a bunker shot, I would imagine, just trying to guess how the ball's going to come out, right?
That's exactly right. That's the conclusion I came to, was to almost look behind the ball at where you wanted the club to come into, and I decided I wanted to make it a little, typically a steeper swing, a little bit more of kind of the vertical hinge, and having the club kind of go, come down more sharply down into the ground. Because when I was originally hitting them, out of the bunker, sometimes you flatten the shaft angle, and it flattens the swing plane, so you kind of come in more horizontally, and then it turns the face over and flips flips the face over and the ball comes out hot and left. So it's almost like more of hitting, a kind of a hard, like a tight bunker shot where you want to get more vertical and just get like under that ball to avoid the face turning over. Because I was finding the face kept turning over and I'd hit a bunch that just went, carried 5 to 10 yards longer than I wanted. Right. And then on those greens, they just get away from you quickly.
Hey, Austin, tell me this. I'm always fascinated by the fairway width. Now, I watched Bryson DeChambeau's little YouTube video that he was there 2 weeks earlier, and the 10th fairway was 18 yards wide. The first looked like it was about 25, 26. What was the width of the driving areas like for you guys who hit the ball a million miles?
Yeah, there were quite a few that were under 25, 30 yards. And there were a few holes that throughout the week as it got firmer, effectively played a lot tighter. Like the 12th hole, it's a par 5. You kind of the tee shots downhill on the fairway slopes left to right. On both the practice rounds I played, I hit great drives, but it was softer and it stayed in the fairway. And then Thursday and Friday, Thursday was a little bit softer when I played it than Friday. It ended up in the right side of the fairway about a foot from the rough. But then I hit almost an identical drive the second day that ended up an extra 3 yards further right in the thick rough. And it was almost impossible to hold that fairway unless you could carry the left bunker, like Rory did, where you're carrying it 330 and then land in the flat, or maybe you could hit a bigger draw into it. But it just doesn't look like a draw tee shot, because if you can land it in that left side, you're going to get an extra 50 yards of roll. But now you're bringing in, the right rough. Whereas if you play the draw, if you don't draw it, you're 50 yards further back, but you at least increase your chances of hitting the fairway. But there were some tight fairways for sure. And I'm sure, like, as it played firmer, the fairways effectively played a lot narrower.
Yeah, I saw you got off to a tough start Thursday, battled back, got it to 2 over with a few to play, and then sort of struggled coming in on the front nine. I think you teed off 10 the first day. Second day, knew the cut was going to be around 7 over, but I know you missed the cut, and it was obviously very tough out now there. But a question that's been going around is, what would a 5 handicapper shoot out there? So I'm going to ask you right now, what do you think? That would they be able to break 100 on this golf course if they finished?
I don't know. I think it'd be very difficult for a 5 handicap to break 95. I do. Unless they had a lot of ball speed and they were a 5 handicap. If you could pump it up further and then you could generate speed to hit, a lob wedge to a 9-iron out of that rough, I would say maybe they could break 90. But if you're a 5 handicap that carries the ball 260 yards, I don't see you breaking 95 out there.
I reckon you're being generous, Austin. I reckon you're being very generous. Hey, Nick tells me you listen to the podcast. Is that right?
I do. Yes.
Yeah, right. It's nice to have it, a little part of the wolf pack over in the States. What I would love, Austin, we do a thing called the masterclass towards the end of the show. I've already done my masterclass. It's going to be on bunker play and Adam Scott. He was a whiz out of the traps this week. I would love a masterclass from you, if you wouldn't mind, on chipping one-handed, because a lot of players get the heebie-jeebies, particularly when they get a little bit older, and this might be the answer for them.
Maybe.
I think it could be.
Yeah.
Oh, if you could do a 1 minute on it, 1 minute on how you chip one-handed, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. But so Austin's on his way up to Vermont. He's playing a tournament up there, and then you're heading to Morocco, I believe, because he's on the Asian tour at the moment. Obviously, did really well to qualify for the US Open, but he's off to Morocco for a couple of weeks to play a couple of events over there, the International Series. How are you finding the Asian tour, by the way?
I enjoy the Asian tour. It's fun to see different parts of the world, and the camaraderie out there is great. You become instant friends with the guys out there, and you're kind of experiencing these exotic locations together. And we play a lot of good golf courses, and the purses are solid, and the competition's great. So I enjoy it.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate you finding a little bit of time for us right down here in Australia. Good man, and good luck in Morocco.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Great to speak to you, Austin. Take care, mate.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Righto, Austin Truslow. How's that? Just the fairways, how wide they were and how actually wide they were playing.
Yes.
It's just, it's another dimension into how difficult it was out there.
And again, you get the firmer fairways and they play even narrower.
Yeah.
So you're crazy.
Now, I don't think we've spoken about Adam Scott just enough. 41 on the back nine. I felt like his game didn't fall apart. I just felt like he was pushing to try and make birdies to get back into it. And it was a kind of a course where you just can't push and get away with it.
Yeah, that bogey on 11 where he held a 15-footer for bogey, I think. But he was still right in it there, teeing off 14. And then he missed that fairway on 14, struggles to make bogey again. 15 makes, I think, double or something like that. And then it's basically all over. He just started missing fairways, which he doesn't do.
Now, you and I, we had a look at Sam Burns last week in our better preview. We looked at Sam Burns and go, number 3, you're kidding me, aren't you? Both of us said, you're kidding. But, he's leading the tournament after at the halfway mark.
It was incredible.
Incredible.
No, they picked that one.
He shot 78. Adam Scott shot 79. Can I give you a little stat?
Please.
Because I don't think this would have ever happened before, ever, that the two players in the final group, apart from one score in the 80s, that 79, that 78 were the two worst scores of the day.
Oh, wow.
Now, that would never have happened before in a major ever. That the people in the last group actually shot basically the two worst scores of the day.
Well, Sunday, US Open pressure, golf course at its toughest.
Rain.
It was brutal. It's funny, Austin.
Bad rulings.
Austin just mentioned, he thought a 5 handicapper may break 95. I mean, I don't think so. I think that'll be more like 120. There was a guy that went out, apparently part of the Golf Channel team, plays off scratch, went out, played the day after on the Monday, went out in 51.
Struggling.
And rallied. He shot 93. He shot 40 to the backside.
He's a scratch marker.
He's a scratch marker. Now that's Monday conditions, no crowds, no US Open pressure. Imagine doing that in front of all those people. You're talking 110, 120, I'd say.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's a little bit of talk birdie to me business that we need to sort out.
Oh.
Because we saw some behaviour that wasn't too flash.
Yes.
So, one, Rory McIlroy got in front of the press and all the microphones and basically said he wasn't happy with the way that they have been reporting what happened to his driver at the last major, the USPGA.
Yeah.
Can I put to you, Rosa, mate, don't worry about that stuff. The only people jumping up and down are the live people who hate the PGA Tour. Don't worry about that. They didn't say anything about Scotty Scheffler, whose drive was the same way. But then he goes out and, bangs a T marker, smashes that in half. That you find it, but when you're adding everything together, Rory, as a leader of the tour, I'd much rather it if you were a leader of the tour and not carrying on like that.
I think he's had a bit of a letdown since the Masters. I think the adrenaline, the emotion to achieve that lifelong dream of completing the Grand Slam and winning the Masters, I think he's just on a bit of a decline emotionally, I would say. He's drained and everything's just getting to him. And maybe there's something else behind the scenes. Who knows?
Well, who knows? But I think you're making excuses for him. Don't carry on like that.
I'm not agreeing with it. No, not at all. I think these guys should be taken. They basically should. They have to face the media.
Yeah.
It's part of the deal. You're a professional golfer. You're actually an entertainer.
Yeah,
that's what you're paid to do. And if you don't front the media, I think fines don't hurt these people. The thing that hurts them is time off, suspension.
It was the first round that he'd spoken to anybody in the majors. I think in the 1 in 7.
Yeah.
So it was the seventh round of a major that had been played. And he finally spoke to them. I mean, as a leader, that's not on and should be fined in my book. Should be fined and
suspension. And speaking of suspensions,
oh well. Now, can we put up the picture, Dan, of what Windham Clark did to the locker room?
Horrific.
At Oakmont.
Just horrific.
Honestly, they're beautiful, gorgeous, restored lockers to probably what they looked like, 50 years ago or whenever they were redone.
Well, they're the original benches lockers that Nicklaus and Palmer and Hogan when he won in 53 that they actually used for their US Opens.
And the little bit of material, it's there for a reason, so your locker doesn't stink and it airs it out. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful place. And for Windham Clark to put his foot through or a club through or whatever he did, not one but two of them, if I was the PGA Tour, I don't care. Like he won the US Open a couple of years ago. You're not playing for 6 months.
Yeah, you need some time off.
I would give you a 6-month holiday for disrespecting a golf course and a golf club that opens its doors. And I think this is the 10th time the US Open was played there. I mean, grow up, Windham.
Something's coming with the guy because he did that big tomahawk club throw at the PGA where it almost took out a Marshall, hit the backstop behind one of the
They should have done more then. So this is what happens. This is what happens in all walks of life. If you don't start penalising people for doing the stuff that makes us all a little bit sick, then it gets out of control.
Trust me, I wanted to bury my driver through a couple of those locker rooms when
too.
I was there in 2007 after walking off the course a couple of the days. But you don't do it. It's just
that's right.
It's just part of the game. And
mate, I shot 87. I shot 87 in the second round of the British Open at Carnoustie. 87 didn't come last, but came close to being last. Mate, I was I was welling up. But you're not going to put your foot through a locker.
No. I mean, Seb Straka misses the cut and he didn't put his through the locker, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Didn't quite work out for him.
Now, I know it's been...
he's avoiding that. So.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, it's okay.
Look, I don't worry about Seb Straka. I'm going to continue to put hundreds on. and the main reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to laugh at you two because you didn't when he keeps on winning. Sure. Now, I didn't see enough beanies in the US Open. I didn't see enough of them.
Because it's not cold.
Well, it's cold down here in Melbourne. So I'll tell you what, make sure you get one of these beautiful FootJoy beanies because they are absolutely magnificent for cold weather. We need a break.
Sounds good.
We need a break. We've covered a lot of ground.
Imagine what this is going to do to Mark's hair.
Yeah, I know. I'm just worried about it, actually. I have to keep it on.
Don't worry about that. We've got plenty more coming up. We've got a masterclass. What's your top 5?
Top 5 is going to be the top 5 greatest shots to win your first major.
In the men's?
In the men's
In the men's side?
Yes, correct.
This is going to make a lot
That's an ode to JJ Spaun's tee shot on 17, obviously.
Yes. All right, we'll see you on the 10th tee, folks.
Oh my word.
Titleist GT, a new class of drivers.
We're live from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. We all know the number one ball in golf is Titleist and the number one shoe and glove in golf is FootJoy. We're here thanks to the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Ping will always help you play your best. Turn your bogeys into birdies with the Watch My Numbers app. And Better, the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. That's Better. Now, back to Talk Birdie-Tome. Here's Nick and Mark.
Well, Nick Arnold gave me a pair of these magnificent gloves. Have you seen these?
I haven't. No, they're the winter gloves, right?
They're the winter gloves. Now, I thought at first, they were putting them on between shots, but they're not. These are...
So you hit shots with them on?
When you got a real cold day...
Fabulous.
And you whack them on. And I'll tell you what, I just grabbed the 9-iron a second ago and hit one into JJ Spaun. Look at that beautiful picture of JJ Spaun back there after that unreal. But I thought his caddy got a little bit too close for the money shot, if you know what I mean. He just kind of...
No, he needed to give him a bit more space.
Give him some space, caddy. But I'll let him off because I reckon he didn't really know whether the putt was going in and he was going to come over and cover his player with the umbrella.
But when it went in, he should have just backed off.
Yeah. Get out of there.
Anyway,
the gloves are magnificent. It is time for this week's Top 5.
Top 5.
The Talk Birdie-Tome Top 5. Thanks to Southern Golf Club.
Top 5.
And thanks to Brad and the team at Southern Golf Club, which is looking beautiful as always. Nick, what do you got?
As always. Top 5 this week is the greatest shots hit in a men's major for people to win their first major. How's that?
Okay, hang on. Okay.
Obviously, JJ Spaun's going to get a mention.
You think so?
Number 5.
I reckon JJ will be high up. That's my best guess.
Well, actually, you might be surprised. Anyway, number 5. There are some good ones, by the way. There are some good ones.
At 5.
Colin Morikawa, 2020 PGA Championship at Harding Park.
Number 5.
That's number 5. The driver he cut into the 16th hole, a beautiful little fade.
Wow.
Okay, that's my number 5. It was his first major. It was a wonderful shot. Everyone was playing 3 wood there, but he cut a little driver and hit it to 6 feet and made the eagle on his way to victory. Number 4, JJ Spaun, the tee shot on 17.
Only 5 shots better hit.
Incredible.
Only 5 shots hit closer
to
the
do
whole
it
week.
when it matters the most. It wasn't that difficult a tee shot, but it was the moment. It was situational, Mark, right?
Situational.
It's all about situational.
Very important, folks.
Number 3, Oak Hill, 2003 PGA Championship. Chad Campbell and Sean McKeel were battling down the last. Sean McKeel hits a 6-iron to 6 inches, one of the great 6-irons you'll ever see.
I reckon it's more gravitas too when it's the final hit of
Final
the
hole.
tournament.
Yeah. And that sealed the deal, that one.
Yeah.
He had a 1-shot lead playing the last, but he stuffed it. And 6 inches, it was an incredible shot. The next 2 are going to hurt our Australian followers who like the shark. Okay, so 1986, not a good year for Greg Norman.
Well, he won the Grand Slam for the third round Grand
Third
Slam.
round. And he did win the British Open. However, at the PGA title at Inverness, a young Bob Tway from the bunker holed that bunker shot. Greatest shot ever to finish.
And he was jumping up and down like a pogo stick in the bunker.
Yeah, he was.
I'll
and
never
so
forget
I would
that.
have as well.
Like that he was.
Absolutely. His son plays on tour as well.
he's done well.
Kevin Tway, I think it is. That's number 2. And number 1, a year later at the Masters.
Don't you dare.
Larry Mize.
Oh,
the chip in. The chip in on 11 for Larry to win his one and only major. Funnily enough, the top 4 have only won 1 major, but number 5, Morikawa, has won
He's
multiple.
won a couple now.
So,
Look, I reckon you did that pretty quick. I reckon there might be 1 or 2 that we've missed. That then, if
I was going to include 6 or but you give me heaps about top 6s, so I stayed away from it.
Dan, if we got a prize for someone from the Wolfpack, if we've missed, if somebody can get a great shot to win your first major into Nick's top 5, Nick can be the judge.
I'm pretty sure I've missed one.
Have we got a voucher to give away?
So hang on. So what's the criteria? So a great shot
to win your first major
that Nick has missed.
Yes,
that maybe Nick has missed.
Maybe Nick has missed. I'll tell you what we'll do. What we'll do is we'll got a great prize. $250 to spend at the golf clearance outlet.
Wow.
And we'll give them a team entry into the Golfies tournament.
Oh, wow.
Very nice.
Now, Golfies, you might have heard the ads rolling around. Golfies is a 2-person Ambrose match play event. There's 8 matches. If you win 8 matches, you will win a trip to Thailand with $25,000.
That's a great price.
Very good. You can enter now at golfies.com.au, and the discount code Birdies will get you 40% off. Now, that prize is worth about $318 and the $250 voucher from Golf Clearance. So what's that? That's nearly $600.
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, at the Golf Clearance outlet, you could buy yourself the winter gloves and the beanie.
Love it.
Oh, very nice.
See that?
Love it.
Very nice.
That's what you want to look like.
We'll get more complaints about your hair, though.
I think
That's
so,
okay.
yeah.
I'm going to wear this for the rest of the show.
I think I've just thought of a 6th, by the way, but I'm not sure if it was his first major. The bunker shot of Sandy Lyle, last hole at the Masters. Had he won the British Open before that?
Oh, you could have let somebody else get it,
No,
Nick.
I know, but it just came to me right then.
Yeah, righto.
Anyway.
There's bound to be more.
Yeah.
There's going to be a few more.
There will be.
Time for some feedback, I reckon.
Okay. Sorry, wrong button. I'll fix that. Wrong button. Ross has said, has there ever been a worse final round from a leader in a major as Scottys?
Oh, yeah, there's been plenty.
I'm sure there's been plenty.
There's been plenty.
Well, he wasn't leading. He was second to last. I mean, it was second to first, sorry.
Well, look, unfortunately, I reckon a couple have come from down our way. I think Michael Campbell had a shocker one year at St Andrews. I think Finchy had a bad one leading, playing with Tom Watson. Was a baddie at the Open. There have been plenty.
I'm sure Greg has probably thrown in a couple of bad ones leading.
Maybe not a 9 over, but yeah. There have been Plenty.
Now, we've got a few comments on Rory here that we've sort of already talked about, but I'll just read these anyway. Andrew has said, "G'day, guys. What do you make of Rory's antics during the Open, throwing clubs and smashing the tee marker?"
Yeah, should be fined.
I don't think he was the only player to lose it, but it's not a very good look.
No, it should be fined. They all should be fined. All those fines should be made public, and that would stop more people doing it.
No, I agree. And I just want to go back to that previous one. Adam Scott, shot 9 over. Regular tour event, that's the equivalent of a 1 to 2 over par round.
That's right.
Okay, you just got to remember how tough Oakmont is.
Correct.
It looks worse than what it was.
I'm glad you said
keep
that.
going.
Yep. Roger has said, "G'day, guys. It's a great coup by Golf Australia getting Rory for the Aussie Open. I was very excited when it was announced. I'm a huge Rory fan. But watching his behaviour over the last few weeks has taken the shine off my excitement just a little bit. Not talking to the media, being rude, throwing clubs, smashing tee markers. We've gone from a Masters and Grand Slam winner to an angry man in less than a month. Can he snap out of it?"
Well written, and very good feedback for Rory McIlroy. And yes, he can snap out of it. He can snap out of it real quick. Just start getting in front of the microphone, start being a leader of world golf, and get on with it. You know.
Now, this is something we haven't talked about, and Jim has a comment that he don't like your views on. Nick and Mark, if you guys know the Aussie commentators on the US Open feed, can you tell them to stop talking all the time? They never shut up.
Well,
he said this during the Open, of course.
Well, we didn't mention it off the top, but look, the world feed dropping in and out of what we saw down here in Australia
is when they go to commercial break. Yeah,
was annoying. It was annoying because, look, at one stage, and I'll never forgive him for this. At one stage, we had the normal feed, the NBC feed, and they had Scotty Scheffler all set to go after his third round. Microphone poised, question about to be asked, and we cut to Luke Elvey talking about some other garbage. I mean, I almost turned the TV off. I love golf too much to do that. Look, I think the world feed, at best, we should have a choice. You know, I would have had the NBC feed on the whole time. I love Bones's comments. I love the way he does his commentary. I think we missed out on so much not hearing him all the way through. I thought James Nitties did a great job. He did what he could. But, you know, when we actually got those moments where we heard what America was getting, I just felt like we were shortchanged.
Yep.
Well, Paul made a comment about this as well. Paul said, "Asking to see international players doesn't mean changing the commentary, which is what the broadcasters have done. Cameras covering more shots by more players should not mean changing commentators. There's lots of gaps in the footage to show other players, even if they recorded that just a couple of minutes earlier."
It just doesn't work that way in the United States because they're not that interested in showing international players who are a bit down the field, basically.
That's right. They want to get ratings because they've got to get big sponsors. For big sponsors, you need big ratings. Unfortunately, it's a trade-off for us down here. But even so, I mean, it's not.
I like the way he's thinking, but that's just not the way it works.
It's not worth it to get random players from Europe on the coverage. Anyway, go.
Now, while we're talking about Oakmont, Peter has said, "Boys, how would you rate Johnny Miller's 8 under at Oakmont with a wooden driver and fairway woods, and how would today's players compare with that?"
Well, it's one of the greatest rounds in majors history for a reason. It was the first 63. Was it a par 70 back then or a par 71?
It was 8 under.
Par 71, so it was an 8 under.
The course was softer than usual, again, in 1973 when it happened.
Yeah, but I think it was 10 shots better than the average score of the day.
Could have been.
10 shots better than whatever the average score was. Well, the average score must have been 74.
I think he came from 7 back, didn't he, to win? So,
Now, I've got I raise this cautiously.
Okay.
I raise this cautiously, Mark, and I'm interested in
Why
your
do you
view.
say my name?
Well, you've been fighting with people.
I like fighting with
people.
He
does like fighting.
So
on social media.
On social media, yeah. I love it.
You've been fighting with people, and I don't think you should be fighting with members of the Wolfpack. So I'm going to read you this Twitter exchange.
Before you go any further, I enjoy fighting with people on Twitter. It's one of my favourite things.
What do you think, Nick? You should be fighting with Wolfpackers?
Well, as long as we're not turning away Wolfpackers, I suppose.
Okay, well,
sometimes
maybe
members of the Wolfpack need to be put in their place.
Okay, there was a Twitter conversation about runkers, about bunkers and rakes, and where the rakes are situated.
That's right. This is because JJ Spaun's ball hit a rake.
Yes,
and in some people's view, it was helpful But I'm telling you now, it was not helpful.
No, I thought it bounced into the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's some bloke here who's talked about how rakes should be in the bunkers and yada, yada, yada. Anyway.
Goes on and on.
So as a Wolfpacker called Stephen Roche. Now, Stephen has commented on this, said, yep, I agree with that. And Mark, what have you said? You have said, Stephen, you haven't got a clue.
Which is accurate.
Well, hang on. And then what Roche said is, what I do have, Mark, is an opinion and an example of the reason for it. This is a slightly harsh reply to what is a debatable issue, so much so that you want to run an episode on it, and to somebody who regularly steers people to talk birdie to me. Yikes. So, mate, Stephen's doing us a solid, and you're fighting with him.
Well, he might have caught me at a weak moment.
Maybe.
I might have been a little bit sharp, but even so.
Gosh, sharp.
Even so. When sometimes people just need a little slap around the chops to get them on side.
Okay, all right.
Sounds like you had a Windham Clark moment.
That's all it was. And I know Stephen should be, big enough just to cop something every once in a while.
Oh.
Like I cop stuff all the time.
Well, you do. Okay, I'm going to end the feedback on that note, and I think it's time for the Ping Globals. Nick, you ready to go?
Okay, yes.
All right, let's play that very cool music.
It's not that cool.
Here it is. It's growing on me. I'm liking it.
Mark, sitting in there in that FootJoy beanie of yours. I think the FJ needs to be at the front, by the way.
Well, so when I look at you, it is on the front.
Oh, okay, fair call.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. You haven't got a clue, Mark.
Come on. Let's go.
All right, US Open, obviously, final results. JJ Spaun shot a final round 72 for a two-shot win over Bobby McIntyre. 68. The rounds of the day actually came from Rory and John Rahm, 67. So Rory finished off nicely. Rahm birdied his final three holes, by the way. Sort of snuck into the top 10, bit of a backdoor.
Did he birdie his final three?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Tied for fourth was Cameron Young, Tyrrell Hatton and Carlos Ortiz, who both had a chance there towards the end. Scotty Scheffler, who we thought was a lock for top three, just wasn't his week. He got off to – this was his C game and he still had a top 10.
You know, Ortiz, that's the highest ever finish in a major for somebody representing Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
Abraham Answer? No, he hasn't.
Hadn't finished top three.
Hasn't finished
in a
top
major.
three. Wow.
Nope.
There you go. Okay. Of the Aussies, best was Adam Scott. Unfortunately, that final round 79 for tied 12th.
We still love you, Scotty.
We still do, of course. Ryan Fox, another solid week, came home in 69 for tied 19th. Jason Day tied for 23rd. Mark Leishman tied for 38th. He was going along pretty well there, Leish, for a while, but struggled on the final day, shot a 77. Cam Davis made the cut, well done, tied for 64th. And unfortunately, two players that missed the cut was Minwoo Lee. That was a surprise. That really was. And Cam Smith. That's 0 for 3 now in majors this year. So
he played well. He rallied.
He did.
Cam Smith. I think he played like the last, I'm going to say 9 holes, 3 under.
3 under. Well, they were.
I
was watching it, and they said, "Well, he's going to miss the cut." Blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, he holds a bomb to get to 8 over, and I'm going, "Hang on, he hasn't missed." And they're still talking as though he's going to miss the cut. So anyway,
but is this an appropriate place to talk about our better multi? Because Scheffler did not get in the top 3.
He did not get the top 3, and Ludwig
did not make the cut.
Did not make the cut.
And beat Rahm.
Yeah. I did pick Striker though.
And of course, you've done very well overruling me, you two, for Striker did not make the cut.
Yeah.
And I lost $100 on my own money.
Oh, well.
That's all right. I'll put it back on. I'll get it back.
That'll teach you.
Mate, it's good for me because you'll be 80-1 next week.
True.
When do we think when's the next event that we could do a better multi on, do you think?
Well, we've got the British Open coming up.
Yeah, British Open.
We do have the British Open
I'll be
coming
interested
up.
to see what we do with Rory, the way he's been behaving.
Yeah, that's true.
He'd want to sharpen up.
Yeah, we'll see.
Tough that one.
On the LPGA Tour, they were in Michigan for their Maya LPGA Classic, where Carlota Segunda shot a final around 67, birdied the final 2 holes to defeat Korean Hae-Jin Cho. The Aussies were really going well early in the week. We had Karis Davidson tied for the lead for a little while after the first couple of rounds, but she had a good week, tied for 7th. She's a good ping player. Minjee Lee tied for 14th along with Gabby Ruffles. Grace Kim tied for 24th best of the Australasians. They got a major themselves coming up this week, the PGA Championship.
Oh, that's a big one.
In Frisco, Texas.
I saw you and Porter actually tweeting. At one stage, we had 6 of our Australian girls in the top 10 of this tournament.
It was incredible.
Amazing.
They were doing so well. Yep. On the Ladies European Tour, they're in Belgium for the Hulencourt Women's Open, where Darcy Harry from Wales shot a 68 for a 3-shot win over Natasha Nadeau from France. New Zealander Amelia Garvey, final round 66 for third position. Really good result for Amelia. Tied for 10th was Kelsey Bennett, and tied for 17th was Madison Hinson-Tolshard. On the Legends Tour, they're in Greece, where Peter Baker had a 6-shot win. He's just crushing it there. That's his 8th win on the Legends Tour for
He's
Peter
going to
Baker.
be 60 years old, Peter Baker.
He's getting close, yeah. He's getting close. He's a Wolverhampton Wanderers supporter, which is my team over there,
team.
the Wolves. Okay. Yeah. Scotty Henn tied for 10th. Good week. And then the 2005 US Open champion Michael Campbell tied for 14th. So he's still playing good golf, Cambo. So well done. And then get this, on the Ladies Access Tour, the European Ladies European Tour Access, they're in Czechoslovakia for their tournament. 15-year-old amateur Alice Kong beat 3 pros in a 4-way playoff, including our own Justice Bozio.
Are you kidding me? That? So Justice missed out, but a 15-year-old's won.
15-year-old amateur won.
What's her name?
Her name is Alice Kong. She's a French girl. Right. Still at, what was that, probably year 9 or 10 at school.
K-O-N-G.
K-O-N-G.
Yeah, right.
Incredible. But that's a second playoff loss for Justice Bozio. She's going nicely on the Access Tour over there, so she's 5th on the order of merit. Hopefully get her main card shortly. So we'll look forward to this week's PGA Championship on the LPGA Tour, and that's this week's Ping Global Results.
Great stuff.
Now, perfect. Before we go into the masterclass, just a quick reminder about our competition. Now, what do we need people to go and do?
Well, if Nick has missed one of the greatest shots ever to win your first major, and you know he's missed one,
and I probably have,
then just get on our socials, send one through, and you could be the winner of all those prizes before.
And those prizes are, we will give you a $250 voucher to the Golf Clearance Outlet. You can spend it in-store or online, whatever floats your boat. And also team entry into the Golfies tournament, which is a 2-person Ambrose match play tournament. If you win 8 matches, you will win a trip to Thailand worth $25,000.
I do like the sound of 2-man Ambrose match play.
Sounds so good.
That whets my appetite.
Yeah, you can enter at golfies.com.au. Go and have a read. Like the prize is so good. And it's fun. It's fun.
Do you go into that event with the 2 similar playing styles, or do you go for a yin and yang where you've got a bomber and then a more conservative player?
No,
2-man
you want
Ambrose.
both bombers. You want everything.
I thought you might want Steady Eddie and then
you wouldn't mind a 20 handicapper who plays to 10. They're always helpful.
Yeah. True. Okay, masterclass. Thanks to Watch My Numbers in 30 seconds.
G'day. Now, even though Adam Scott didn't play too well on round 4, in round 3 he did something pretty special. Got up and down 4 out of 4 times from the bunkers. I watched very closely what he does. It's old school and I love it. When you go through, you don't release like you're hitting the 5-iron or a driver when you're in the bunkers. You release very differently. See how this club face is up? It's not rolled over like that. That's really important in the bunkers because it keeps loft at impact. The ball will go up. It also keeps bounce on the bottom of the club. 2 things you really need when you're hitting bunker shots. So instead of setting up square and rolling the face, it's the top of the club is going up. The bottom lines are going up. Once you do it a few times, it becomes really easy. And a big thanks to Watch My Numbers, of course, one of the greatest golf apps you'll ever see.
Great masterclass too there, by the way. That little, keep that face open, beautiful. Scotty was amazing out of the bunkers.
He was 4 from 4 on Saturday, and he ended up 5 from 6. But on the Saturday, his first 3 bunker shots, they all went within 1 foot, 2 foot, and a 3-footer.
Impressive.
I think on 17, he was in the front trap, the par 4, hit it out to about 14 feet, and made probably his best putt for the week to get him into the final group. But it's a bit of an old school thing.
Yep.
It's old school to have the face pointing up.
So you're releasing it upwards.
You're releasing it up. When you release your bottom hand, the palm is up when you do it. Now, that's totally opposite to probably what you taught when you're hitting a driver or a 5-iron or even a wedge. But when you do it in the bunkers, it keeps the loft on the face and it also keeps the bounce on the bottom.
There you go.
So it does 2 things. And it makes it, you know what it does? It makes distance control much, much easier from the bunkers. So if you've never tried it, give it a whirl. We'd love you, and we'd love some feedback. If it helps you, Gives you. How about the feedback from our friend during the week?
Yes, we had a voicemail, right?
Where was he? He was from. Where was he? He was overseas.
This is the bloke. He was in.
He had his best round ever.
He was in Canada.
He was in Canada. Had his best round ever.
He'd been doing your 3-ball drill.
The 3-ball drill and the ball weight on the balls, but he did your one.
Then he was switching off at the end.
Switching off. He was thinking about Carlton losing games of footy in the last 6 holes of his best round ever. So Andrew. Good on you, Andrew. It was a great message. Go back and have a listen to it. But he's used one of mine and one of yours, and he was very, very happy about it and shot his best score ever. So we love that stuff.
Very good.
Love to hear it.
All right, guys. Well,
so we have a satisfied Wolfpacker as opposed to a disgruntled one.
That's okay. That's okay.
Did you just go to rub your nipple?
I think I did. I think I did. I think I did.
Jeez.
I was happy
Good
with.
catch.
Wow.
Good catch.
I was happy with giving it to Rochi. You see,
Mate.
and there was an ad hoc nipple touch.
No more nipple rubbing.
I'm out of here. See you later.
So
And that's been Talk Birdie, Australia's most popular golf podcast with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen, coming from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters. As everyone knows, Titleist is the #1 ball in golf and FootJoy the #1 shoe and glove in golf. Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to subscribe, maybe leave a review, and we'd love you to share the pod with a friend who loves their golf. Huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Ping, like they do for Nick O'Hearn, will help you play your best. You can see your local golf shop or professional for a Ping club fitting. The Golf Clearance Outlet always beat everyone's prices. Visit golfclearanceoutlet.com.au for your nearest store. Watch My Numbers is the most powerful data-based golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. And better, they've got the fastest and easiest betting app in Australia. Download from the App Stores today. Now that's better. Keep in mind, what are you really gambling with? But for now, from our studio at Titleist and FootJoy headquarters, thanks for being a part of the show. We'll see you next time.